Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and do you like lost media, ladies and gentlemen? Well, today we're looking at a lost media, an 80s song that was recently surfaced on one of the more unsavory parts of the internet. This song is Everyone Knows That. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I think if anybody is a fan of lost media has probably been following. I'm pretty sure that Blame It On Jorge is on this, Nexpo, all the usual suspects. But to give you an idea, I've been a huge lost media person since Jeff the Killer. As somebody that's been hunting this situation down and basically seeing it start in front of my eyes, right? To basically see a community of individuals come together to find an image all the way back from like the early 90s, all right? The early 2000s even. To basically see if this could exist in the modern day and age is absolutely heartwarming to see, okay? Now, I've been in the lost media community personally because ever since, looking at Jeff the Killer and putting up my own bounty, it's interesting to see a community of individuals come together to find what is effectively an image all the way back from the early 2000s. But while that story has a bit of a darker side to it, unfortunately, given some of the history and theories behind it, this one is all goofy and fun times, okay? So to give you an idea of what happened, Everyone Knows That is a 80s song that was popularized over on TikTok very recently. In fact, you can hear a bunch of people talk about it. So for instance, one of the more popular posts with 260,000 likes on TikTok have 17 seconds of this song playing. So here I'm going to play it for you just so you get it burning into your heads a little bit. Now, of course, according to the caption, it says, "It truly freaks me out how hugely unknown this song is in comparison to Like the Wind. No one, and I mean no one, has ever claimed to hearing it, making the song, or associated it, yet one person only had 17 seconds of the track. This is the most mysterious song on the internet." Now, that's a pretty huge claim to be making. But of course, this wasn't the only TikToker on this subject. The EKT Lost song was a pretty huge trend on TikTok and to an extent still is. And of course, these people were coming up with their own theories about where this song could have existed somewhere in the 80s. Now, obviously, being the 80s, this would probably be on like a commercial, television show, movie, or something of that nature. And to sift through older media like that takes a lot of time and a lot of due diligence. But of course, TikTok was not the starting point of the story. In fact, if anything, the starting point of the story was a website known as What's That Song. Now, you'll be like, what is What's That Song, Muda? What's That Song is an older website that unfortunately isn't working at the time of filming, and I believe that is just due to the fact that there's some maintenance going on. It is a community that spans over a decade of people trying to find older songs, or just songs in general. Think of it like Shazam without the AI machine learning that helps guide it for you automatically. This is a purely human community-driven effort of people looking through old stuff to find snippets of music that may or may not exist. Now, at this moment in time, a user known as Carl92 posted a pop English song, mid-80s, bad quality. And of course, this was only 17 seconds of the song that you had just heard. In fact, if anything, there is a closer song that you can hear. This is all 17 seconds, and I'm going to play it for you. This is uploaded by 01 Snoop 8 months ago. And of course, that's still not as old as this song. It gets even older. We're talking years upon years of history here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what happened over here was obviously other creators started to look into this, and even creators in the music space had basically created recreations of the song. So what you're hearing right now is a creator known as Swafford, who actually recreated this song and garnered 218,000 followers. And of course, while this is not the original song, it's a demo reconstruction, the thing is the original song still hadn't been found up until today. The reason I'm making this video is because the mystery has been squashed. But before we get to the end of it, we still need to go into how this mystery even began. Now, of course, as far back as December 2021, it was listened to, from my understanding of the site, 388 times, and there were at least 12 comments on here. For instance, one of the top comments was longer sample could be helpful. People needed more than 17 seconds to truly understand what song this could have been. Otherwise, it will remain elusive forever. And of course, Carl says, thanks, sorry, that's all I have. I don't remember its origin. I rediscovered the sample between a bunch of very old files in a DVD backup. Probably I was simply learning how to capture audio and this was a leftover. The thing is, it sounds somewhat familiar to me, or maybe I'm mistaken with a similar song, and I thought it wasn't going to be a too obscure one. I tried in www.aha-music.com, and also tried searching the lyrics, but my English is not good enough for that. I only understand something like everyone knows that, you can't ... tell me the truth. And of course, the other community members were saying, hey, if you have a longer sample, post what you can on Vocaroo and paste the link here. So of course, individuals even as far back then in 2021 said, yeah, it sounds like something from the mid-90s to the mid-2000s. And then, is there more audio in the DVD you ripped this, or is he only 17 seconds on it? So obviously, at this moment in time, Carl92 only had 17 seconds of audio to deal with. Some of the other analysis over here had people who went, it's a very commercial sounding song. So my guess is it's a song from Spain or somewhere that has a small hit or a song that was played but never got any chart action. I don't know what your connections are, but try asking some radio DJs from Spain who would have worked in the 80s or 90s, especially if their station played songs that weren't just the huge hits. So you gotta do some private investigative work to figure out where this pop song that was so far from everyone's understanding unheard of. Nobody had known where the song came from, nobody heard more than 17 seconds of it, and the reality was nobody at the time came out and claimed ownership of the song too. You would think that no matter how obscure certain songs get, that there is at least some record, some phonography, some discography that exists somewhere out there of somebody owning whatever. Okay, I've heard music tracks on Newgrounds that could have been traced to old Fruity Loops, project files. So this was a little weird. This was by far one of the more elusive songs that had existed on the internet, and Carl92 might be holding on to some actual serious gold. Now, where this started getting picked up to was 3 years ago by an account on Reddit known as Null42x64. 3 years ago posting, I'm getting in trouble finding this song, where they linked it to a YouTube video that has since been taken down because the account has actually been terminated. Now here they wrote, the lyrics sound something like, you can only shoot in the stars, caught up in your world of love, everyone knows that, you've got theories of motives, tell me the tune, everyone should know. I searched everywhere and it only leads to dead ends. If you guys have any clues, please let me know. So again, the Reddit community started to isolate the lyrics, and again, throughout finding and locating this, there was still no luck. So again, 2 years ago, an account known as ExcellentAd497 posted, everyone knows that Lost Wave. There's a song that has intrigued me a lot, and it came almost as an addiction. The original track can be found here where they reference to that original What's That Song posting. To make the story short, the guy in the post said that he found this fragment of music while testing how to record some audio from his PC. However, what's most intriguing is that we have the lyrics from these 18 seconds almost completely correct, and we can't find this track anywhere. So of course, in this situation, everyone had the lyrics, everyone had the channels that were reposting this, but nobody had the fucking original actual track. So it seems like everyone knows that was pretty much the antithesis of what the title of the song meant. Nobody knew what the song was. Nobody knew where to find it. And nobody even knew who made it. Now, like all good lost media, a Reddit community entirely was started to find this Lost Wave song. And that community was known as Everyone Knows That. So of course, while today they've referenced it as being found, what they actually wanted to really go into and what I wanted to showcase was the journey that it took for them to find this song. So usually when it comes to a lot of these communities, they always have a search master list for anybody to jump into. So obviously they had the debunked leads, they had a master list, frequently answered questions, and of course a Discord community for people who are actually, assessing and, basically researching into the story. So a couple of their debunked leads were quite a lot. So for instance, they went from Create a Pop Sensation, Crusher Joe OST, Duran Duran, Dejima Database, Hoo Ha, Jason Page, Kiko Man, Lisa Kurik, and of course even McDonald's in Poland. Now you might be wondering, whoa, okay, this is a lot of leads to dig out through, and of course it is. These people were looking into some of the most insanely deep levels of commercials, television shows, movies, music videos you could imagine. And of course, the master list is probably where you want to be if you want to see how this was eventually discovered or debunked. So in the master list over here, it leads to an Excel spreadsheet where they had leave a comment on any cell on this page if you have a lead and we think we should add. So of course, according to the bottom, they have the README, the utility, adverts, song playlist, exploration, other media, emails, and of course, databases as well. Now, according to their actual resources over here, they would actually classify things into multiple different terms, right? So you would have empty. So for instance, if something had nothing to do with the escape, or everyone knows that song. I have Escape from Tarkov in my head, as bad as that sounds. And of course, you can also have the hoaxes, which, although this may claim to be EKT, it most certainly is not. And of course, they also had other terms for people that were waiting, responses and whatnot. It was a pure group effort. And of course, through the songs and materials, you could find that people had looked through various songs. And of course, for YouTube instances, you could find tons of YouTube pages where people were looking through and some were even confirming as hoaxes. And of course, the more you went down into it with exploration, and of course, even with other media, you could find that the other fake videos that they could find were actually all tied to commercials. So again, this is one commercial where they had some of the music playing in the background, but it was obviously faked, it was created, people had looked into it, and it didn't turn out to actually be the Everyone Knows That Song, or the origin point. Now you can imagine it all becomes confusing for anybody when they're trying to find the origin point of the story, and they have to dig through all the radio stations, all the commercials, all the TV points imaginable. But like any lost media board, they will forever put the hours in till the ends of the earth until they get what they want. That's the beauty of the internet or anything in general. People will find the origin point to something. It only becomes a matter of time. So while TikTokers were doing their own thing, Redditors decided to go down every lead imaginable. And the one lead that people had started to share around, and there were plenty, was the one that probably aged in the best possible way imaginable. So an account known as G70WING, or Growing, made a post about a potential candidate song by a band named the Bubblegum Revolution. Some users are now speculating, due to the band's apparent history and the title of the album in question, that this band was heavily involved in the production of music in pornography. If that's true, I feel like this lead is one of our strongest yet. So for instance, one of the actual 5 points, and we'll go through each one of them was Carl92's disappearance. So for understanding here, Carl92 doesn't play a story in this beyond initially setting this whole adventure out and posting this on What's That Song, or posting this on the internet in the first place. So for better or for worse, people tend to be ashamed of their porn viewing habits. Some are willing to discuss these things, but many aren't. If Carl's remembering after posting the original snippet that he had recorded it from a adult video, he may very well consciously decide to pull out of the search in fear of his interests, which may include some very embarrassing stuff. And of course, number 2 is the era. Music in adult content isn't necessarily hugely common these days, but in the 70s and 80s, it seemed to have been almost a mainstay of the industry. Try finding a professionally produced movie from that era without music. You'll probably be able to, but it won't be the easiest thing in the world. Assuming that EKT is an 80s song, this would fit the timeline of trends in that particular niche of content. So of course, the next bit is the region. Carl92 is from Spain, that much we know. Bubblegum Revolution seems to be a German band. Do we know for sure that EKT was recorded in Spain? Not necessarily, but if it was, Spain is relatively close to Germany. And of course, the accent of the people singing. A German accent is not readily apparent in the vocals of EKT, at least not to the person posting this, but try listening to any number of German bands, especially from the 80s and 90s, who sung in English, and you'll understand that many German vocalists, like Brits, and people from many other regions of the world are perfectly capable of very closely emulating the more neutral, American-esque accent heard in EKT. And of course, the lyrics and whatnot. So of course, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment in time, this was just a theory out of many possible theories that existed in the search for this song. Well, it turns out that the theory was actually true. They found the song inside an adult goddamn movie, okay? An adult movie that has actually still been posted. So yes, it turns out that Carl92 ended up being a fucking gooner in today's day and age, all right? That's how it is. A long quest that lasted multiple years of trying to find a piece of song ultimately led to somebody who probably had something in their goon folder and they were like, I need to get this song. but I need to make sure nobody figures out that I'm a gooner in the process. And so they probably cut out a portion of it, posted it, and send people on a chase, only for the chase to result back to that specific video. And while the song is 2 minutes and 49 seconds in length, the actual song has been detected. And again, the comments are the best one over here. Carl92 was mid-stroke and thought, damn, this song is good. Carl92 being a sneaky coomer is the least thing that I expected. I feel bad for all the TikTokers who are like, POV, you're a kid listening to this song in the 80s. Dude, YouTube comments will forever constantly excite the fuck out of me, dude. They're always the best. Now, of course, this discovery was made by a user known as South Pole Ball and, of course, OneTruth5867, who made the discovery when they found out earlier in the morning a lead that helped them get to the song. So what happened, according to them, was they found a video on YouTube of a scene from an adult movie that had a song which sounded similar to AKT. Beautiful that it exists on YouTube, by the way. I noticed in the description of the video it said Christopher St. Booth and Philip Adrian Booth. I realized, holy shit, I remember these names. They're in BMI and SOCAN with the registry for ulterior motives. And so they skimmed over 12 hours last night through films and found similar sounding music. I told the lead to other people, and again, they immediately began communicating through DMs, and soon were skimming through all the artists' movies where they were featured in simultaneously. I went AFK for 5 minutes to watch a film and compared 2 different names, and came back with a flood of messages that the song had been found in a movie that he had just watched. I could have kept it a secret and found EKT myself, but I didn't want to do that. I think I have enough credit today. And I think these two, people, these two researchers, these two investigative journalists have found what is a multi-year-long search for one of the internet's most elusive pieces of pop music all the way back to the 80s. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it turns out Carl was a coomer and the song has been found, and ultimately another piece of brilliant lost media has been found for people to enjoy in today's modern day and age. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, wild stuff today, man. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.